The College Football Experience, Conference USA, MAC, and Independence Win Totals Locks episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash, folks. They just introduced college football best ball as well, so get on over there. Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, RITHMM. You got to check out Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Once again, that is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome to the College Football Experience. MAC, CUSA, and Independence Win Totals Locks episode and championship picks. We are free at last. We are less than 24 hours away. We're like right around the corner as this football season. I've been sitting in this studio here in my house, just pumping out episodes all day today. Hopefully you caught the week 0 DFS show that me and NC Nick put out for the good folks. And now we're concluding our win totals locks episodes essentially here. So we're inching closer and closer. We also got the Flaming Libs preview after this. We will talk about the Flaming Liberty. What's that?
It might be game day in Ireland right now. I don't know about the time zone change, but it might be midnight in Ireland right now.
Yeah, did we get that on delay? Is that that could be possible? The game might be happening and we get it on delay. That's what's I don't know about you guys, and I know we touched on this a little bit. I don't like the kickoff in Ireland every year. Part of it is it's just gimmicky. Well, at least with the conference game. If you went with the non-con game, I'm more on board. But the fact that Florida State, Georgia Tech, and next year Farmageddon, that's going to matter on getting to the championship game. Yeah. I think it's pretty fucking silly. Also not the biggest fan of the stadium, as you found out, Patty C.
It's one thing for professional leagues to try to grow their brand internationally, but college football is American. Yeah. I think they should focus on America. I mean, there's enough money to go around in our country.
I believe it's bullshit. I don't believe they me and you were over in Ireland. I believe none of the Irish people that I met would be saying, hey, let's go check out the college football game. What I think is it helps the Irish economy because you bring in a shit ton of drunken fans that basically load up on the bars, which more power to you. I mean, that's probably a fun trip. I'm not going to bullshit you. If Kansas State wanted to fly me out next year to do the game, I would. But my point is that I truly believe it does not influence more fans. I don't think the random fan jumps on board here, but
starts watching the whole year or something. No, I agree.
Yeah, I don't believe that. But folks, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Kobe Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Let's go. I mean, look, I feel very good about one of these conferences with the win total locks. Now, I feel horrible about one of them as well, but excited to break it all down to you folks. Get on over there, youtube.com/the college experience. Shout out to Julio in the chat. He says, yo, Dundee, it's been a long time. We've missed you, pal. Come on back, Julio. Shout out to John Bodette, too. Speculation that he might be the son of Tom Bodette.
We'll leave the light on for you.
For eating ass in the what was it, Motel 6? Who's that?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that one, John?
why are you really leaving the light on for you, Tom? All right. Flicker the lights twice. That's when the prostitutes come in.
Look. How about we leave the black light on and see how that bed and everything's looking.
Oh God! I mean, I think Lou Holtz has got something to say.
Well, I don't get the rain man cold, but they're counting.
I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh! Up.
I have your music here. It's ready. Let's go. We're talking Maction. We're talking Conference USA, which took a page out of Maction's book and said we're going to load up on the month of October weeknights. Genius, right? And we got the Independents. We're also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Hopefully go check out that DFS episode. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, former heard the basketball league MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
There we go right there, as I think he froze up a little bit. He looks like he had one too many Jaeger bombs. Is he frozen for you, Patty C, or is that just my computer?
He's back. He's back.
Okay.
Jaeger bombs, no. Look, I just got off the soccer pitch, coaching second and third graders. No Jaeger bombs, just poured my first alcoholic beverage of the night, so I'm ready.
How many orange slices?
We save the orange slices for the games, not practice, Colby. Come on.
Oh, tough times in this world. We do have breaking news, though. The very exciting, and I'm just gonna go right into this here. Plenty, I think four or five different people have been reporting that the Big 12 is looking to add UConn in every sport except football starting in 2026. This is reported right now via ESPN. It's also by Action Network and a slew of other Big 12. They just met in Dallas, Texas, and they met with a proposal to have the football throw a bunch of money into football. So by the time 2031 comes around, they will join that year in football. That is according to several people, Brett McMurphy, but also, so you get the basketball program starting in 26. You get also all of the Olympic sports and everything, which they're I think a decent school at, and then football would come around in 2031. So they would load up and they would invest a ton of money into football over the next set of years. I think that's genius. Look, say what you want about the at this point, regionality is thrown out the window. unless it's the MAC. All right. Regionality has been thrown out. Regionality is 6 feet under. But I think it makes a lot of sense to add UConn. I also think that college football could be kind of having a renaissance within this country with the 12-team playoff, and the fact that people will be able to fill out brackets, and the fact that I think it will be by the time 2031 comes around, I think it'll be more than 12. So I think this is great for UConn. Obviously, UConn basketball, and the fact that the football program, which I know they went to a bowl game 2 years ago, but I don't think they've had a winning season for like 10 years.
They're going to get stomped in the Big 12 for a long time unless they really get it turned around quickly.
I don't agree with you, because I'll just go right into it. My number one lock of all of these is the UConn Huskies. All right. How about that? I wanted you guys' opinion on the Big 12, but Patty C's jumping in there. 4.5 is the win total. I personally look at this and I think they're an 8-win team. That's the biggest disparity I have of any team in the whole entire 134 teams. Their schedule is genius. They don't have a bunch of SEC teams on there like they normally do. And that is why I am locking up the over on UConn. And I think it's going to start this year, because here's another thing. You look at what UConn's had to endure under Jim Mora Jr. there. And it's quite fascinating to me that I just feel like he made a bowl game his first year, 6-7. But in both seasons, they've lost their starting quarterback in game 1 for the season. Right? Well, this year, not only did they bring back Joe Fagnano, they went out and got Nick Evers from Wisconsin. He was at Wisconsin for a cup of tea because he was really at Oklahoma. Big time recruit there. They now have 2 quarterbacks that are capable of winning games to me. And when you look at the schedule and compare it to the years past, do I see opportunity here? I think they've done a good job loading up on talent. And I just feel like they're due to have a little bit of health at the quarterback spot. But even if one guy goes down, I think they're in a great spot to capitalize off this. I look at the schedule. Take a look at the schedule, guys. I don't know if you guys have it in front of you.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
I think that I really think like this team could really flourish this year. They open up at Maryland, which Maryland replacing all 5 starters on the offensive line. Now, obviously we got to favor Maryland. I think they're like 19.5-point favorites right now. But if you're ever going to catch them, you want to catch them when they're replacing all 5 offensive linemen and the quarterback that's been there for 30 years. So, but after that, they're home to Merrimack, the Warriors. I think they'll be favored by double digits in that game. They're at Duke, which, who knows with Manny Diaz in year 1, love to get them that early. Then they're home to Florida Atlantic, home to Buffalo, home to Temple. I think they should be favored in at least the Buffalo and Temple games, and probably a short dog to FAU. I think they could be 4-2 by their first bye week, or at least 3-3, right? Maybe even if you get Duke, maybe even 5-1. Then after the bye week, I mean, I don't think they're that bad. 2 years ago, like if you just got steady quarterback play, I don't think the team is that bad. Then after the bye week, you're home to Wake Forest, home to Rice, home to Georgia State, at UAB. I think all of those games are winnable. Then bye week, and then you're at Syracuse. You'll be dogs there. And then you're at UMass. I mean, this could be a really, this is a slam dunk on the over to me. I would be shocked. This is my number 1 out of every single preview we've ever done.
I do think it's a lock for me too. Play the music if you want. It's all about schedule.
Yeah. I mean, if you just compare that to other years where they're at Tennessee and at Missouri, and just it's just way, way different. Like they normally get like 3 SECs on there.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they still go 0-4 out of conference. But it wouldn't shock me if they got Wake Forest
at a conference. They're independent, buddy.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I think good point. Against Power 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Is mostly it's 3 ACC teams and Maryland. The one used to be ACC team. So I do think they go 0-4 in those games, but it wouldn't surprise me if they get one of those. But if you look past those 4 games against the Power 4 opponents, then what's the next toughest game? Is it a home game against Rice?
I actually think it's probably FAU
at
right?
UAB.
No, that's not a tough game.
every other game is winnable.
Yeah, just look at it compared to other years.
Winnable, but I wouldn't necessarily call them heavy favorites in any of them.
I would say their floor is probably 5 wins because they're going to beat Merrimack, Buffalo, Temple, Georgia State, and UMass. That's your over right there.
State?
Dude, Georgia.
I think so.
Yeah, Georgia State. First off, that's in the middle of a month on the road, and they lost their whole goddamn team. They lost their whole team. Their coach left mid-spring practice, and their whole team is gone. So, I have UConn as a 10 or 11 point favorite against Georgia State.
You may be right. Look, my deep dive on UConn is not nearly as deep as yours, but I do know that in 8 of the last 11 seasons that they played, aside from their national championship in 2020, they've won 3 games or less in 8 of the last 10 seasons they've played. So history is not really on their side.
Jim Mora in year 1, Jim Moore in year one won 6. So last season they only won 3. I just think you look at the talent level too. He's built depth on this team. They have 2 capable quarterbacks that are better. Like to me, Fagnano and Evers. That's the best quarterback situation they've had in like 20 years. And then Cam Edwards, all those running backs. Getting Darrell Robinson from Charlotte was a great get in the portal. You look at some of the receivers they brought in. I think this is a legit bowl team this year. They return 4 or 5 on the O line. So this is the one I feel best about probably of all of them. Ever done Ask Weehawk? No, I'm talking about this year out of the 134 previews. This one was obvious to me that this team is in. Just what are the odds at their quarterback situation? They've had horrible luck the past 2 years. They've lost their starting quarterback for the season in the first halves of both games. You know what I mean? Like
the opener.
There's no way that's happening this year. There's no way. But even if they did, they got Evers. So whether Evers gets a start or Fagnano, they have 2 guys now that I think are capable of winning games for them. They're much stronger at that position.
I'm not positive, but I think they only play 2 teams that went over 500 in regular season last year.
Yeah,
Maryland and Duke. Because I think Rice was 6-6, I want to say, and Syracuse might have been 6-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So only 2 teams that went over 500 in regular season play. This
breaking up there. He froze up.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah. He's got a serious look on his face, though. I'm sure he's making a great point right now. Hit us again with that, Nick.
Yeah, say that again.
I don't know what's going on with the internet here in Raleigh tonight, but I was saying this might be the best schedule in the nation.
Yeah, no, I think and you're getting 4 or 5 first-year coaches too. So when I look at it, I mean, it's just a no-brainer for them to win. To me, like the floor is like 6-6. Like when I think about
I'm coming out the gates and I'm just disagreeing with both of you. I'm going to just flat disagree with both of you. For the amount of hype that I've heard you both give Rice, I think Syracuse is going to be an improved team. I know we counted that as a loss, but at Duke and at Maryland sound like instant losses. So
I'm not going to say at Duke. I'm not going to say at Duke is an instant loss. I'll say at Maryland is an instant loss, but Duke lost a shit ton of production. Like I would still favor Duke, but UConn played NC State tough last year before their quarterback got injured.
Now Duke did beat UConn 41-7 last year at UConn.
Yeah,
don't be coming on here slandering the Blue Devils.
After Fagnano was injured.
Who's Duke's quarterback transfer from Texas again?
Malik Murphy.
I don't know if he's going to be as good as God. Now I'm drawing a blank on their
Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard. But I think that he'll certainly have that dynamic of run, pass, strong arm, good legs. So if UConn isn't ready for that, then they could get smoked in that game.
Sure. I mean, I'm not like when I go through this exercise, I have them losing to all those Power 5 schools, but I love the fact they get a week before Wake Forest for the slow mesh. They can practice that. You know what I mean? Like I love Duke in the 3rd game. They're playing with house money, those games. All right. They're playing with house money. Even the bye before Syracuse, they got it's just a great schedule. It's just a great schedule because you're not compared to years past, even getting Maryland game 1, where they're replacing their superstar quarterback over the past 4 years and 5 offensive linemen. It's
superstar quarterback.
Well, he's in the NFL, right? Or the CFL. He's a pro football player. All right. And, but then you look at their home schedule, Merrimack, Florida Atlantic, Buffalo, Temple, like Buffalo and Temple. Buffalo's breaking in a brand new head coach, right? Temple, I think, is one of the bottom 5 worst teams in college football this year, if not dead last. Then Georgia State, I have is somewhere in that bottom 5 to 10. It's just a great schedule. Then UMass, you know what I mean? Like I would favor them against UMass, but not by that much. Like what, 7-point favorites against UMass, 6-point favrids?
Well, yeah, did they play UMass last year? What was the that rivalry? Yeah, they did. Oh no, they didn't. I am looking at the wrong year. Did they play UMass last year?
Yes, they won 31-18 in the regular season.
And they beat Rice last year at Rice with a backup quarterback. All right. So this is what I'm saying. All right,
so we got a double lock. I don't know if Patty sees on the over or the under yet. I'm not sure. I know he's not locking it.
What did I do here? UConn. I took him on the over. I took him on the over, but I'm not locking it.
But what do you guys make of the news to the Big 12 too? I think this is a substantial thing for this program. I think this is exactly what they needed. And this basically leaves Notre Dame as the only independent if this happens. If this is, it's not 100% yet, but they met in Dallas.
Apparently a lot of school presidents or ADs would have to pass it, and a lot of them are still on the fence. But if it does go through, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, UConn, yes, to get the basketball program, and I agree, Colby. I don't think the football program's that far away. I don't think they need 7 years to get better. I mean, how much worse was UConn compared to Houston?
Yeah, not that much
football.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't even think they need 7 years. I'm surprised it's that long of a time period, but I think it makes complete sense. I mean, who doesn't want the New York market? Who doesn't want, one of the top teams in basketball? And I guess you could argue, I don't know, do they classify as a sleeping giant in football? I don't know if I'd say sleeping giant, but
they have their own stadium that was built for them. It's big. I would say it's not necessarily about where your location is. It matter, if you can go into Georgia or Louisiana now. Sure, it helps to be closer there, but I think in the NIL era, Connecticut is a pretty wealthy state, and
you would think so.
You know what I mean? I would just think that now that there's a path to the playoffs, I think it's a slam dunk. And I've
been saying for a while that I thought the ACC should have grabbed UConn.
They should have
instead of Cal and Stanford. And I do like the SMU grab for the ACC, but UConn made a lot of sense, and it would be a nice get for the Big 12.
Yeah. Is there any difference between? Obviously, access to a gigantic metropolitan area is one advantage, but Duke and UConn seem like such similar programs, and Duke kind of 10 years ago or so started taking football seriously, it seems like, and they've turned themselves into at least a mediocre ACC program, sometimes above average, respectable at the very least. So I don't know why UConn couldn't accomplish that in the Big 12.
UConn went to the Fiesta Bowl not that long ago. They have wins at Notre Dame and stuff. So it's just really the past 6 seasons before Mora. Even with Mora right now, throw a mulligan on last season, but 6 and 7 in year one, I thought was a win for the program.
They did have a little run there. 2007, 9 wins, 2008, 8 wins, 2009, 8 wins, 2010, 8 wins. So they were solid under Edsel the first time around. I don't know. I agree with you. I think that was obviously against much lesser competition in the weakened Big East. But I think with the money that can come in with NIL, the ceiling could be higher than most people think.
Dude, they were beating Rutgers. I did the UConn preview. Go listen to that with Moneyline Mac. They have so many wins against Rutgers, and Rutgers got okay to the Big Ten. They dominated Rutgers in Big East play for the most part in their short time in the Big East together. And Rutgers gets the invite to the Big Ten.
Well, maybe Rutgers needed 7 years to get better in football because they were a doormat for a while. Maybe now just turning things around.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, I want to get to more. What I want to tell you though, that the college football experience as part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. Get on over there. Get yourself a Pick Dundee t-shirt. Plus, obviously, college football kicks tomorrow. Tune into the Sports Gambling Podcast and college football experience for week 0 picks and all your favorite futures. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is here to give you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Or you can play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. They just introduced college football best ball. Get on over there. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries as well. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. All right, so sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. Obviously, that's when the NFL kicks with that cockamamie, wacky ass kickoff. All right. And use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP, and you get yourself a free hat too. Just get on over there. All right. We are back talking. So let's just start with the independents there. That was so double lock on UConn. Like I said, I did 134 previews. That was the one I thought I felt best about.
Wow.
I thought like there's like probably a list of like 6 or 7 that I really like. That's definitely, I think that's the number one when I think about it. I'm like, I feel like there's going to be better than those teams. And anyone taking UMass? Anyone taking a flyer on UMass?
Was that 3.5? I mean,
I lean over, but they still kept that SEC schedule.
Yeah, I'm not touching UMass. I'm not touching Notre Dame either. I think Notre Dame probably ends up 10-2, which would be a push.
Yeah,
they're probably maybe more likely to be 11-1 than 9-3. What do you think?
Well, also you can see there are some 10.5s out there. So if you feel really bullish on them getting 11, or being 11-1, I thought the Notre Dame schedule was so easy, but they are depleted on the offensive line after those hits they took. And then I do think that might be connected with your quarterback. Riley Leonard was dinged up last year. So I think Notre Dame's going to host a playoff game. We all released our playoff predictions on the Wednesday episid.
Yeah. And we all had Notre Dame in there, but yeah, that could be a 10-2 Notre Dame team, which if you still push, if you get it at 10, but I don't like it enough to.
The problem is this. The problem is they play A&M the first game, which after that injury, I don't think they win. I don't think they even to me, I feel like A&M should be like a 7-point favorite. Oof. And because A&M's got maybe the best defensive line in the country. Right.
You've been saying that since January. And I disagreed with you then. I've started to, obviously soften on Notre Dame a little bit. And so I think you might be onto something, but I still think that's pretty close to a 50-50 game in my book, straight up.
I just think now that I was more inclined to believe that before that left tackle's injured. You know what I mean? Because that is the strength of A&M is they're just loaded on the defensive line. They didn't even need that kid from Purdue who's going to be a top 15 pick, and he transfers in. You're just like, good God, you already have a loaded D line. So,
I will say it's kind of hilarious that they only played 3 road games on the whole year. They play 3 neutral site games and 3 road games. They play an equal amount of neutral site games than road games.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. And if you look at last year, their 2 wins, 2 of their 3 losses were on the road, and the other loss was that fluky ass Ohio State game where they probably should have won.
Yeah.
I'll say this about their neutral site games, though. They are more or less road games from a geographic standpoint. Georgia Tech is in Atlanta,
But still, I mean, Louisville played there last year, and that was like a 50-50 crowd because that's a huge-ass stadium. There's not that many Georgia Tech fans out there in the universe.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's going to travel. So I went to college game day at Duke last year when they were hosting Notre Dame. There were a lot of Notre Dame fans there. There'll be a lot of Notre Dame fans in Atlanta, wherever they play Navy and wherever they play
New
Army.
Jersey.
Also.
Both of those essentially in New York. One of them is in, right outside New York City in East Rutherford at MetLife Stadium.
Army fans are not going to go to a game where they're 35-point dogs. Maybe some of them, but not.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying geographically, Notre Dame isn't like playing at a neutral site where they'll have, all the fans. They're playing they're playing essentially in the other team's city most of the time, but they'll still have half the fans.
New York City is not Army City.
Well,
New York City, they will have a 90-10 crowd there in Notre Dame's favor. That is a home game.
Just because the Army doesn't really have a fan base outside of Army.
Does anybody have a play on Notre Dame? Or are we just talking
I
about
lean over, but I can't lock it up because of the injury. I can't.
Ultimately, I think they're 10-2. I think they're 10-2 and in the playoffs.
It's just a little too many question marks for me on the offensive side of the ball for Notre Dame.
A&M is tricky, even though they're hosting Florida State. That's obviously a tough game. And then at USC, if they're much better, that's a very dangerous game to end the season. Those could be, in a traditional season, those might be 3 losses. And none of those programs are down. Florida State is fresh off an undefeated season. USC presumably will bounce back up. And then Texas A&M's looking up. So those are 3 losable games. But aside from that, assuming they get 1, 10-2 is likely. And depending on how you feel about the other, I think you're right. I think it's more likely that they're 11-1 than 9-3, but I would not touch it.
Yeah. Shout out to Daquan saying, which dog is barking the loudest tomorrow, Georgia Tech or New Mexico? Man, I think New Mexico would be. I don't know. It's tough though.
I think Georgia Tech. I think I said this in our preview Wednesday night was that I think Georgia Tech's a better money line play than New Mexico, but both might be worth a sprinkle.
And shout out to and I like the Weehawk angle with North Alabama in the FCS ranks as a dog.
Another double-digit dog, right? Was that 10 or 11
and a half, I think. Yeah. Weehawk's right here. After Notre Dame loses to A&M, I think that's when you buy Notre Dame stock. So, because the difference is USC, maybe Florida. Okay, maybe Florida State, but I don't think USC really will be. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to block Notre Dame's defense. We'll see. I think USC is a little bit more of a question mark, but Florida State, A&M, and I guess even Louisville will could potentially be a problem for the Irish. So the only one independent play, and it was both by me and NC Nick on UConn. How'd you guys feel about doing these other ones too? I have a ton in the Conference USA. I do not have many in the MAC.
I was going to say, oh, really, Patty? Interesting.
Yeah.
In general, the MAC is always hard to project, I think. So no, I'm like Colby, and maybe it's something too. All those games on Tuesday and Wednesday in the month of October. I watched more Conference USA football last year than I've ever done in the past, and maybe therefore I have a lot of plays because I got a better feel for those teams.
Yeah. But still, we watch a lot of the MAC. I just feel like the MAC is always so many damn close games. Having Liberty is just there's no, even though Toledo and Northern Illinois are better programs within the MAC, they're not that big, as far as Liberty, the way they're spending there. So let's load up with that. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. All right, and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model. Copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you could just press build and build your own model, and Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop. I mean, they have stats, research, all this good stuff. Get on over there. Look, simplify your betting process. College football kicks in less than 15 hours or something. And I've been using Rhythm all summer for all this stuff, golf, WNBA, everything. All right. And I just built my model so I can actually know what to bet on in some of the random games this opening weekend. I've never been more excited to watch Delaware State Hornet football in all my life. All 3 planes got there. The team is there. So thanks to Rhythm, check that out. All right. Check out look, you get a free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. World Series is inching closer and closer, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's not just if you're going to go to a college football game, if you're going to go check out Tarleton State tomorrow, pull out the Game Time app. All right, on Thursday, if you're planning to get out to Folsom Field in Colorado, pull out the Game Time app. Whatever. All right, whatever event, go see Circus LA coming to your town, whatever the fuck. Right, take the guesswork to buy tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code CFBX with $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create the account, redeeming code CFBX with $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we are back. CUSA. That's where I got a ton of them. So let's
start there.
I gave out my UConn play, so someone else take a play here, and let's go. But I do have a slew of them. I
got one, so I'll get it out of the way right now, and I'm waiting to hear from you guys to convince me into some other locks. So, but it's pretty obvious where I'm going to go with this. It's a favorite team of mine, and I just think they're going to be getting better in year 2 under Rich Rod, in year 2 with an 85-man roster. I think Jacksonville State is a lock to get over 7.5 wins.
I am with you. I am surprised they are that far back. I think I did the Jacksonville State preview last night with Moneyline Mac. Go listen to that season preview. The odds to win the conference aren't bad. You know what I mean? And I'm saying like it's profitable. It's like they're like 550 or 650. I feel like something like that.
Wow.
NC Nick, you're not locking this one?
I'm not. I'm going to sit it out. I am on the over. They don't have a whole lot returning. 5 on offense, only 4 on defense.
I love what they did in the portal, though, man. They have, to me, they did a great job in the portal adding. Now, I know they lose their DC, which is, he goes to Oklahoma, but they did a great job bringing in. I like the Tyler Huffgett, the quarterback from Furman. And I know they're planning on starting Logan and some others, but they played 3 quarterbacks last season. So I expect that they still have the other quarterback too that played Zion. No, they brought in Zion Turner from UConn, but the other quarterback they played.
They always got a Zion in the quarterback room.
Yeah. But
my thought process is and why I wasn't completely comfortable because I think at Louisville and at Liberty are losses. So basically you have 10 games to get to 8. Can they go 8-2 in the other 10? I still think probably, but I don't feel great enough about it.
I tend to think like you. Like I had them on the show last night, 10-2 at 9-3. I said somewhere, but I would have set the line at 9.5. If you're asking me, I would have set because you can find what'd you have the line at, Nick?
I think they're probably 8-14.
Well, that's I see the line at 8. You see it at 8.5.
Oh, I thought the line was at 7.5. No.
Oh no, I thought yesterday it was at 8 when we did the show. Or I guess there was Mac threw out that there is 7.5 out there. There's also 8.
What did Patty say? I thought Patty said 7.5.
I said it was 7.5.
Okay. Yeah,
so, I see 7.5 minus 135. So you get a little bit of juice, but not too bad. I think they're 8-4, so I think you guys are good. But with that limited returning production coming back, I'm gonna.
Dude,
go ahead, guys.
They brought in a slew of Georgia transfers. They have they just an Ole Miss transfer. They just brought in a ton of. I know they got hit on the defensive side of the ball in the portal, but I think I think this is a better offense than a year ago.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't have a ton of film time on Logan Smothers, but I will say, typically, if you look back at Rich Rod's. Basically his tenure at any place, he usually inherits like a kind of whatever quarterback he has. At Michigan, I forget the bum's name he had for the first year, but it was terrible. Then he had to cycle through the kid from San Diego, and then he finally got to Tyrone Shoelaces. What's his name?
Shoelaces.
Denard Robinson.
Denard Robinson. Denard Robinson. And so. Yeah, that it takes there's a progression there with Rich Rod, building and getting his quarterback in place. I don't know that Smothers is the guy. His stats don't indicate that he's that, lightning fast guy that makes that offense go. And Zion Webb, quite frankly, was pretty quick and a good quarterback for that system. So I don't know that they're even going to improve from a quarterback standpoint, but I would say, the implementation of that offense as a whole is going to be a step further. And, I think that the roster will be stronger, with another year in the FBS. I just trust Rich Rodriguez as a developer of programs. And, this seems like he'll at least replicate last year. I think the schedule's slightly easier. And so I think, and look, I think even the Louisville game is winnable.
I don't, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, they beat pre-Rich Rod. They beat Florida State at Florida State. They beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss, and they took Auburn to overtime. So the program does have a history of showing up for big games. I will say this though, I like the road schedule, especially within conference at Kennesaw State, but they get a bye before Kennesaw in the option attack, right? Then, okay, at Liberty, we know that's the only dagger on the schedule. At Louisiana Tech, and I think there's a decent shot Sonny Cumbie's fired by then. And then
I don't even think Liberty is an absolute dagger. Again, this is something that we saw with Rich Rodriguez when he was at Arizona, and Oregon was national championship caliber, and he ran a similar system just like Jacksonville State does against Liberty, and Jamie Chadwell's system. Read option is a super prevalent part of that offense. So if he is able to diagnose that a little bit, he pulled a major upset at Arizona. I think they'll be a lot closer than 18 points against Liberty this year, even on the road.
I don't know though, but that was also Chadwell year one. I think that's Liberty is spending a lot of money, and I don't know. I don't feel as bullet like, especially they get him. When is it? It's in November. It's like Halloween. I feel like when they get him, it's gonna be cold as shit too, probably by then. So I don't know. Like I still love the over. I'm going with you on this because I think the conference is a coaching mess. All right, Jerry Kill is gone from New Mexico State. Rick Stockstill is gone from Middle Tennessee. Sonny Cumbie and La Tech's been a disaster. Any new faces there? UTEP's breaking in a new head coach. So to me, it's just the conference is kind of, to me, like a two-team. I mean, I know people are saying Western Kentucky. I'm not ready to put Western Kentucky above Jacksonville State. So, yeah, I think this is a good, and the fact they get a lot of those teams in Jacksonville, where I actually do believe they have a good home advantage there too. That the crowds show up for them. So I am on that over as well with you, Patty C. NC Nick, what do you have?
Well, my favorite play, and I know Colby's on it also. I'm not sure what Patty thinks, but Sam Houston over 4.5. I mean, yeah, play the music.
Oh yeah. I think they're a contender. I think in this season. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I mean, this is a team that, yes, they went 3-9 last year in their first year in the FBS, but they won 3 of their last 4 to get to that 3-9 mark. And the more important thing is the close games. We're talking a 14-0 loss at BYU.
Oh, they should have beat Liberty. They should have beat Liberty, dude.
Yeah, a 13-3 loss to Air Force. Jacksonville State in overtime. Liberty by 5 when they were driving in the red zone. And they couldn't punch it in to take the lead. They lost a double overtime game to FIU, a 3-point game to UTEP. They lost a 5-point game at Western Kentucky. This team competed with the best of the Conference USA, and they didn't win any of those games last year. Now the second year in the FBS, now they know what to expect. They're going to start winning more of those games. They've returned 8 starters on offense, and I think they're probably better positioned at the quarterback spot, where they bring in a bunch of guys like that JUCO guy who won the JUCO national championship. They got JC Bauer. Yeah, JC Bauer, who from Central Michigan, who Patty mentioned earlier. They got Grant Gunnell, who started at Arizona. I think this team is set here to do some big things. I think 4.5 is crazy low.
And it seemed like Vegas didn't know what to do with these CUSA teams. Everyone's like at 4.5. I think they are live dogs week 1 against Rice. Rice is a 10.5 point favorite. And I don't know why. I think that should be like at a pick. If anything, maybe like Rice -1. Then they host Hawaii on the 14th. I think that's kind of a questionable game. I have them favored against New Mexico State. I have them favored at UTEP, all those short favorites. I think they can beat Western Kentucky there at home. I think they're going to be. I have them as a decent favorite against Louisiana Tech there at Bauer Stadium. They're at Kennesaw State, but they get a bye before that option attack, right? And then so all you need is 5. All you need is 5 wins there. I like the schedule. I think to me there's only like 4 flat out losses, and even with that, they host Liberty. They almost beat them. And here's another thing. Here's another thing: is the fact that I guess if Liberty already has a loss to App State, or say ECU or Jacksonville State, does Liberty rest their players the final week of the season?
If the Liberty that, or if they're just completely heartbroken that they're not going to have the Group of 5 bid if they take a loss somewhere along the way. Yeah. Either way, they could be resting, or either resting players for they won't rest players if the college football playoff is on the line. But
of course. But I'm saying if they have 2 losses, the CUSA schedule, they don't play a Power 5. Liberty doesn't, so they would be eliminated by just default. The fact that their strength of schedule would be horrible. Yeah. So I think Sam Houston is a smash on the over.
Patty, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. When you think about last year, listen to the first half of the schedule. Everyone was down on them. Well, because they couldn't score any points. That the first 6 games of last year, the first half of last year, they only managed to get over 16 points one time, and that was against Jacksonville State. But they played a bunch of really good teams: BYU, Air Force, Houston, Jacksonville State, Liberty, and New Mexico State. Very good teams, and teams that are high above their talent level. They don't have that tough of a non-conference slate this year. They have Rice, UCF, Hawaii, and who's the other one? Texas
State.
Yeah.
All 4 of those could be bowling, but
yeah. It's not a super easy non-conference, but it's more manageable than the likes of BYU.
Right. They're going to get one or 2 of those.
Right. And then the second half of the season, lo and behold, the offense reappeared. They didn't score any less than 23 points for the last 6 games of last year. So it maybe not the fact that their offense sucks. They were just playing on teams that were a lot better. And maybe this is what they're really going to look like. And that's kind of what you would figure. Sam Houston was a national championship FCS team not too long ago. And look at the other teams that have made the transition that, they beat JMU. It
sounds like this is a triple lock.
Yeah, you guys have convinced me. I'm going to lock it up.
There we go. About to say, you got to dance all night. We have a triple lock with the Bearcats of Sam Houston State. Loyalty, honesty will stay together through thick or thin. Friends forever will be together. We're up top because we play to win. All right. Patty C, do you have a CUSA play you like besides that? If not, that's okay. I have a shit ton.
I have one, and I played it, so I'm waiting on you all.
Oh, well, I happen to love a lot in this conference, and I will jump on over to Middle Tennessee under 4.5 wins. The Derek Mason hire I don't think it's a horrible hire, but I don't think he's Rick Stockstill good. So I expect regression just naturally, especially in his first year after the whole damn team transfers out. So Middle Tennessee under 4.5 is my plan, especially once you look at the schedule too. I think Tennessee Tech and GBO Farms might upset them week 1.
Dude, before you go too far, it's at 5 on DK right now. And it's minus 105 under 5. I'm locking up with you. That was one of my plays.
Dude, this is gold. They're giving you fucking gold right there. The schedule is tough, man. You look at this schedule and you're like, okay, Tennessee Tech. Okay, even if he gets Tennessee Tech, but I still think that could be a game. Then they're at Ole Miss. They're going to lose by 40, right? Then they have the 100 miles of hate right after that, which Western Kentucky is a better team. Then they're home to Duke, and then they're at Memphis. I think if they don't get Tennessee Tech, they could be 0-5 to start the season. Let's just put them at 1-4. Let's put them at 1-4 there. Then at Louisiana Tech, okay, maybe they could get that. They're going air raid to option though from week to week as Kennesaw comes to town. I think Kennesaw can beat them personally, but let's just give them those 2 wins. That puts them at 3. At Jacksonville State,
pretty bad last year at the FCS.
They redshirted a bunch of people though, dude, because they knew they were jumping.
Okay, still you got to favor Middle Tennessee in that one.
Not by much though, dude. Not like I think that's a game.
Okay.
I mean, I would say if I was setting the line, I'd be like Middle Tennessee -3. You know what I mean? Like
disrespect.
dude, they're bringing in a brand new staff. First off, they were a 4-win team. Tennessee.
Yeah. I don't think Derek Mason is worth 2 wins to get to 6. You know, and Colby's could bring up good points about the schedule, but for me, you're right. Only 4 starters back on offense, only 3 on defense. How about this? They only returned 1 offensive lineman out of 5, and they returned 0 starting defensive linemen. So you're talking about in the trenches. They have the worst line play in the whole Conference USA. 1 out of 9 return. Yeah, I'm all over the under here. I think it's gonna be a rough year 1 for Derek Mason.
I was locking it at 4.5, but you can get more money in on this thing. And watch, like, to me, there's a chance at 1-11 here. There's a legit chance at 1-11.
There's enough, bad teams in CUSA where I don't think it's going to get that bad. I think this is probably a 3-win team, 4 at most.
No, let me ask you this, because history, if you take out COVID, 9 of the previous 11 years they had gone bowling. Stockstill had that program rolling. Yes, they were 4-8 last year. I'd have to take a closer look to see.
Stockstill's a great coach. They fired him.
I mean,
Derek Mason this is a downgraded coach.
Foolish, but okay. Non-conference, they had losses at Alabama, at Missouri, against Colorado State, who was improved last year. Like, they only lost to Liberty by 7. Are we thinking that maybe that 4-8 record is selling them a little bit short potentially last year?
Yeah, for Rick Stockstill, yes. But I'm saying,
I agree that Derek Mason, there doesn't seem to be like a continuity on any level that's going to lead to him picking up the torch and running with it with the same level of success. I would expect regression too, and 5 is a high expectation there. So
I guess if you like the Blue Raiders, Vadiata coming back at quarterback, he's probably one of the best returning quarterbacks in the conference. I just don't like what's around him.
He's learning a new offense too, though, man. Like, I don't know. And like Metcalf, their star wideout, hit the portal.
Line play. I mean, that's what's going to come down to here.
It's year 1. This is the problem. Like unless you're bringing in your whole fucking team that from your previous stop, which with Derek Mason, he wasn't coaching anywhere last year. I don't think 2 years ago he was at Oklahoma State, but I feel really good about that. NC Nick, fire away with another lock. Is it a double lock on Middle Tennessee? And I like another under out there. If you want to,
I was going to say, let's keep the under train rolling, and maybe not the one you're thinking of. I like La Tech under 5, -125.
This was on the fringe one for me, but
I'm not a Sonny Cumbie believer. They were 3-9 last year.
I'll join you. And
tell me they're going to double their win total. Why?
Well, and apparently, I've heard this from a few different people that he's like pissed off the administration too.
Yeah. I mean, they're breaking in a new quarterback.
He's going to be fired by October 5th, I think, probably.
There's a good chance of that.
Yeah.
Trouble in Paradise, a.k.a. Ruston, Louisiana.
Now, they do get Nichols, who was not a bad FCS, by the way. Week 1. Watch out for that. 2. Then they're at NC State, home to Tulsa, and then at FIU. I got them 1-3 to start the season. The question is who the fuck is the interim coach going to be? Because there will be opportunities. What'd you say, 5? To me, getting Middle Tennessee, getting UTEP, and getting Kennesaw at home, you could build a case where that gets to 4, but I'm with you. There's no way they get 5. Like, okay, they got to win every 50-50 game. I just don't see it. If anything, I think Kennesaw's a better program than Louisiana Tech right now.
And the safety valve. I mean, look, we're not making these plays to do pushes, but the safety valve is if they get to 5, it's a push, and the book holds your money for 3 months, and you get it back.
Yeah.
Because I don't see a scenario where they get to 6 and double their win total from last year.
Patty C, any chance you're going to buy some of this under stock?
I am going to go under. I am not locking, but you guys are making some good points there. Pretty terrible defense. Gave up a lot of points a lot of times last year. So unless Derek Mason's going to have some magic up his sleeve, I think the under is the safe play.
Weehawk wants to know about the Middle Tennessee number, Nick.
5.
Well, no, where?
Oh, DK.
Yeah,
Sorry.
DK.
Sorry, we were talking. I didn't mean Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech rather. Louisiana Tech under 5 now.
Keep on going, Colby. New Mexico State? Is that your next play?
Goddamn right.
I'm with you. Double lock it again.
Yeah, under 4.5. This is easy money. This is, to me, one of the better ones you can do too. Might be my favorite play in the whole CUSA. Might be. This team is in shambles. The whole goddamn team is gone. The whole damn staff is gone. And I think the schedule has some challenges. You know, like you look at this thing, Jerry Kill. I mean, they're replacing so many moving pieces that I just feel like now there's still a couple opportunities for a win, but 4.5. How about this? They open up against Southeast Missouri, who plays tomorrow. I think they could lose that game week 1. I actually think if you had to tell me what is the FCS team most likely to get a win week 1, I actually think I would probably say Southeast Missouri when they head to Aggie Memorial Stadium to take on New Mexico State. Then they take on Liberty, at Fresno, at Sam Houston. All of those should be losses. Then they're hosting Bronco Mendenhall, New Mexico. Winnable game, but I favor Mendenhall. I mean, there's a strong chance they could be 0-5. There's a strong chance they could be 0-5. Then let's just say 1-4 though. Then bye week, they're at Jacksonville State. No loss. Home to La Tech. Okay, that is winnable. Maybe you get that second win. Then they get a bye week. They're heading to Pitbull Stadium. No. That's a loss. Then home to Western Kentucky loss. Then at A&M loss. Then Johnny Red Floyd. I don't think they're. I think this is a 2-win team personally.
Yeah, I mean, you got no more Diego Pavia, no more Star Thomas, no more coach. Their top six wide receivers or pass catchers are gone. I don't know much about Tony Sanchez. I don't have faith.
He was terrible at UNLV. He was terrible at UNLV. Yeah.
I like to fade the first year coaches. Every team in the conference, they all miss one team. You know, there's 10 teams. You can't play yourself, so you miss one team. The team that New Mexico State misses is Kennesaw. That's the team you want to play. You know, so the schedule in conference is pretty tough, and there's just the cupboard is bare. So I think New Mexico State drops to kind of what they were before Jerry Kill arrived. I'm with you. Now you got to lay a little bit of juice, minus 150, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I just think there's no way. What's that?
When you talk about where they were before Jerry Kill arrived, Doug Martin had managed in his 9 seasons coaching there over 3 wins. One time he did go bowling and get a win there, but and even before that they were pretty miserable. You know, it had been a long time since they won. In fact, I think prior to Jerry Kill's arrival, they had won more than 4 games once since 2005. So a really terrible program. But then 7-6 and 10-5 in consecutive years. My only question is did he actually build that program? Did he build the culture? I know they probably got rated some, but they were a very good team last year. They weren't, a fake team. And to expect them to regress from 10 wins or so to back to 2 wins would be a massive regression. However, I agree that 4.5 seems, optimistic. So I am going to go on the under. And I think just because the schedule is pretty tough, I will lock with you guys.
I don't even see and I'm looking at this, besides, I guess, Monte Watkins, the running back, I don't see many good players back. Like, I watched this team with a closer eye. I remember I was really high on them on the over last year. They're bringing in a quarterback that's a JUCO transfer and Awad. That's his name, Parker Awad. And I just don't know that I think this could be a fucking disaster. This is what happened. I wonder what really happened there. It just seemed weird. He was building it, then a press conference, and then he's like, I can go to Cancun and have margaritas. And then next thing you know, he quits. It's like they didn't. I think he personally, if I had to guess, and I'm speculating here, I would say he felt disrespected and unappreciated. So he said, you know what? I don't need this. I'm fucking rich. I've been coaching football for fucking 40 years. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So he said, I'm out. And I think it's going to be, I think something's off there. Something's up within the water there in Las Cruces. So triple lock on the under with the Aggies of New Mexico State. What's that?
I only question this a little bit, only just because they had the third best rushing offense in the conference last year. behind Liberty and Jacksonville State, who are super rush happy teams. And New Mexico State seemed to be a more balanced attack. So that does suggest that they are, built out of the trenches. That seems like that was their bread and butter. And losing a quarterback, if you're a pass happy team, that can lead to a quick demise. But since they are run based, I don't know that the regression is going to be as pronounced as we think just from the loss.
What if your quarterback runs for about 1,000 yards?
He's a good runner, and so I guess. But look, Pavia was a good quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and say
he was their leader. He was their leader, though. He was their heart of their team, in my opinion.
Yeah. So they're losing over 1,500 rushing yards with Pavia and Thomas now on Vanderbilt and Duke.
Okay, that's not what I mean, though. It's not the backs carrying the ball. It's the trenches blocking for them that make that attack sustainable.
But I feel like Pavia did that like ad-libbing. I don't know that was designed runs. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you got a little point there, but they did return some starters on the O-line.
4.5 seems tough.
All right.
I still have some CUSA plays. Nick, are you fresh out?
No, I got one more. No, actually, maybe even two more. I like FIU over 4.5.
Yes.
Wow, we're lockstep here.
We are seeing eye to eye in this fucking conference, man.
And it's plus juice, plus 125 for FIU to go over 4.5.
This is one our friend Phil Steele was very bullish on too. And this is obviously they got that pit bull money coming in there, but Keon Jenkins back and also Shamari Lawrence and just Mike McIntyre is a really good coach. I feel like this year, one of the best things.
Year 3 for McIntyre.
And they didn't get rated as much. They have gotten his first 2 years there. Oh my God. I feel like every good player that they had in the offseason was gone. Chambers to Maryland. I feel like South Carolina grabbed one of their best defensive linemen. But they've just gotten destroyed. The quarterback went to BC, right? So I think this is the stars are aligning. And like I said, to me, another part of this handicap is not only that it's Mike McIntyre year 3, it's also everyone else. Like if you had to rank these coaches, you'd put Rich Rod 1, Chadwell 2. At 3, I think it's probably Mike McIntyre.
Yeah, you could argue that. I like John Bodette's post that they've been rated more than his motel in years past.
Shout out to John Bodette.
You mentioned the quarterback and running back they return, but also 4 of 5 offensive linemen. They were 4-8 last year. This year they dodged Western Kentucky in conference play, and for a team that isn't ready to compete for the conference, they have Liberty and Jacksonville State on the road. What you want? Chalk those up as L's if you want. That means more winnable home games. I think this team. I think they go bowling. I think they're 6-6 or better.
If you listen to my Jacksonville State preview, I actually had their third loss being Florida International because FIU gets a bye week the week before, and Jacksonville State's coming off of. I think it's coming off the Liberty game or coming off a road game. One of the two, but I think it's a good spot to catch Jacksonville State, maybe a little bit of sleep, but yeah, I mean, I'm buying in just because, and I also think the non-con presents some winnable games at Indiana week 1. When do you want to play Indiana? To me, you want to play them the first game of the season because they're bringing in a slew of transfers. Now it's basically playing James Madison from a year ago. So maybe that's still got a leg up for Indiana. But I also think getting Central Michigan to come down there at Florida Atlantic, I was higher on Florida Atlantic before I did my preview. After I did my preview, it was like Florida Atlantic might be the most rated team in the country as far as the portal goes. Then Monmouth, I think they can have a winning record in the non-con or at least 2-2. Then you open it up home to La Tech, so you should have a winning record at the bye week there at your first bye week. Then, okay, at Liberty, loss, whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're playing with – this is a great part of the schedule here. At UTEP, Sun Bowl, best stadium ever. Then home to Sam Houston State, New Mexico State. Those are winnable games at home there at Pitbull Stadium. it's just a nice schedule. You get a bye week before Liberty and Jacksonville State. Slam dunk this thing, man.
Where do you think their hard dogs in?
Liberty, Jacksonville State,
Indiana.
That's it.
And FAU, yeah, I know they didn't play last year, but FAU
will be favored, but not by too
much. Slam dunk.
Yeah,
by what? By a touchdown?
I even think it might even be a little less. FAU got rated. I didn't realize they got rated that bad.
My only problem with FIU is that they seem to regress. Granted, the level of competition went up a little at the end of last year, but they did give up 40 points in their last 4 games. So they weren't playing great, but obviously when you're playing Jacksonville State, Arkansas, and Western Kentucky in that stretch, it's going to be bad. So, 4.5. I'm not quite as bullish as you guys are. I guess I'll lean over with you. I'll take it, but I'm not locking that.
So double lock there. I still have plays on the board. NC Nick, you?
I got one more, but you go first.
Wait, hold on. Jacksonville State, FIU, MTSU, New Mexico State, Sam Houston. No, I'm actually done. I'm done.
All right, this is a fringe one, but I think I'm going to do it because, and I expect some pushback here, which is fine. I like Western Kentucky in the under.
Oh, no, I kind of agree with you. The only reason why I don't want to touch this is because, like I said, I find this conference to be kind of in this transitional phase of like, besides Rich Rod and Liberty, I don't really know. Like, if you just have any bit of coaching continuity and talent, which is why I like FIU, right? I still don't buy into Western Kentucky ever since Zach Kitley left, and then what's his name who left for Washington State the year
Arbuckle.
Yeah, the year after that. I think that has been kind of a deciding factor in this team's regression, and I don't know that Helton is the best man for this job moving forward.
Helton looked like a genius. He looked like a genius when he had Kitley by his side and Arbuckle, but I've watched them over the year get worse and worse on offense.
Yeah.
This will be their 4th offensive coordinator in 4 years. They have Will Friend coming in. Last year, Drew Hollingshed didn't cut it. They miss Arbuckle, who's at Wazoo. They definitely miss Kitley, who's at Texas Tech. And the numbers prove it. I mean, in 2021, they had the 2nd best offense in the nation with Kitley. Then the following year, they had the 15th best with Arbuckle. Last year, it slipped to the 47th, and so Hollingshed has been retained.
I expect it to be worse this year. Personally,
Austin Reed is gone. Malachi Corley's gone. I think there's lots of reasons. So I think I've watched them get like a little bit worse over the last 3 years, and I think that continues. And they were 7-5 last year. So, I mean, maybe they just, equaled their win total last year. And I think out of conference is challenging at Bama, at Boston College, Toledo, and Eastern Kentucky.
Don't sleep on that Eastern Kentucky game. The Battle of the Bluegrass. Eastern Kentucky's a decent FCS. They almost got Kentucky last year.
If you want to even get close to an over, you have to go 2-2 in those 4, which is still possible. It's very possible. Because they're probably favored against Eastern Kentucky and Toledo at home. But they're not like shoo-ins. They're not gimmies.
Yeah, I couldn't lock it just because to me there's still enough winnable games. Like, if they get Eastern Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, like Toledo lost a shit ton. Now I still favor Toledo slightly.
Heavy favorites on Western Kentucky.
Toledo,
they're a far better program, I think.
Still,
but they lost in Bowling Green, maybe, but.
I have them I would favor Toledo by like 2.5, right? I took Toledo to win that game, but it wouldn't shock me, especially the first month of the season when they've lost so much. All 5 starters on the offensive line gone. Their star running back Penny Boone is now at UCF. DeQuan Finn, their star quarterback at Baylor. So Toledo got a little rated. So I still think though that Toledo wins that game, even with all that said. But it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if they're 3-2 heading into the bye week. And then UTEP, Sam Houston, like there's enough winnable games here still where they could be like 5. That'd be 5 wins if they take care of both those. Kennesaw 6, New Mexico State 7, La Tech 8. So I can build a path to it. It's just I agree with you. I lean under, but I just can't lock it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is there any chance that their offensive stats have regressed a little bit just because Tyson Helton isn't as pass happy as they used to be. I know their old system.
No,
I mean, they're still the number one pass offense in the league, but not by nearly as much. Maybe they're just a little more of a ball control approach.
I just think those coordinators were awesome, and that's why they're at Texas Tech now and Washington State. You know, like we followed them in the FCS. Patty C.
But the win total hasn't dropped that much. I mean, he's since his first year, 5 years ago, he was 9-4. Now he's 8-5 5 years later. So I mean, on the field, the results are pretty similar. But I do expect regression this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not locking this. It wouldn't shock me. You know, like I said, in this conference, I feel like there's two teams way better than the rest, Jacksonville State and Liberty. But after that, I favor like Western Kentucky and Florida International and Sam Houston State to be in that mix.
I think that leads us to our championship game and who's going to win.
Yes, I have Jacksonville State and Liberty. I have it at Liberty on December 7th or December 6th, I think it is, because it's a Friday. And I have Liberty beating them. Nick?
So I don't want to go chalky here. Now, Liberty is minus 500 to reach the championship game, so I don't think anybody's going to bet that. I will take Liberty versus Sam Houston, who is plus 550 to get to the championship game. I like that bet. I think Liberty wins it. But Sam Houston to win the conference, plus 1,800. That sounds appealing, but I think I'll just go with the Sam Houston plus 550 to get to the championship.
I like it. Yeah, there's only like 4 teams or 5 teams that can, right? Like I said, FIU, Western Kentucky, and Sam Houston are like the only 3 outside of those 2 that the top 2 that I think even have a chance.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Big Ten. I was asked this, what's the most predictable conference this year? I said Big Ten is Conference USA.
Sunbelt.
That's true. That's probably 3rd for me.
Big Ten has become a little tougher. I mean, there are a few different players in there, and now that Penn State doesn't have to go through Michigan and Ohio State, they're a player a little bit this year. So
I like Willis in the chat says Patty C looks like he's about to pull someone over and give them some bad betting info.
Shout out to Willis.
Patty, what's your championship? You going chalky? Sorry, Colby.
I am going chalky, but I have an upset. I think Jacksonville State will be demoralized, and I think or Liberty rather will be demoralized that they didn't make the playoff because I think that's their expectation, and I think Jacksonville State upsets them in the conference championship game.
Plus like 550 to win it all. Jacksonville State, not too shabby.
Oh.
Hey, can we talk about this for a second? I know we got to do the MAC, but I'm saying like if that happens, Nick, where they already have 2 losses, it's December 6th. How many SEC teams are calling Caden Salter? I'm sorry.
Does he have additional years of eligibility? He's got even more.
I think he's got another year, right? I think he's got 2 years. He was originally a Tennessee recruit. Yeah,
I think you're right.
They wouldn't snatch him before the conference championship game, though.
They would be talking to him though, which means. I mean, did you see Chuck Martin today or yesterday? The coach of Miami, Ohio, calling out Alabama.
Well, 2 years ago, Liberty they kind of faltered down the stretch because Hugh Freeze was being talked to.
Yeah.
So maybe to that point. Okay.
And Jamie Chadwell could be gone. Let's be honest. South Carolina. It's a great angle by Patty C. It's a very good angle. Actually, I'm going to join him on that.
I'm not sure if Patty was saying that angle, but we'll take credit for it anyway.
But I like Jacksonville State potentially beating them because Jamie Chadwell's out the door. Might be an interim head coach.
Well, there's really no value in betting Liberty to win it, so you might as well go with somebody.
Give me Jacksonville State. Give me Jacksonville State to get that thing done. All right, Maction here. I don't have many plays, but I will give you the play that I feel the most comfortable with. And that is, I'm taking Eastern Michigan over 4.5 wins because Chris Creighton just does it every fucking year. He brings in Cole Snyder's pretzels to come in at the quarterback spot, an experienced quarterback who started at Rutgers and started at Buffalo. And I just think he's one of the best coaches in this conference. And I just think 4.5 is too low. Even last year, I thought that Eastern Michigan team was terrible, and he still got them to 6-7.
They were bad last year.
And they still won 6 games.
I want to say they were worst defensively and second worst offensively in the league, and somehow managed to get to bowling. That's
look who they beat. Last year they beat Howard, UMass, Ball State, Kent State, Akron, and Buffalo.
Well, okay. Well,
Murderers Row.
Well, hang on. Well, let me tell you that UMass, St. Francis, Kent State, Akron, Buffalo, all on the schedule this year, right? And
you're making some good points.
And let me tell you something.
That's 5. That's all you need, right?
Yeah, that's all you need right there. But I actually think week 2 at Washington, you guys laugh. Chris Creighton has beaten a Power 5 almost every year, right? I think that's a game. I think Washington is in. Obviously, I locked the under in Washington. That's one of my favorite plays of the season. I think that's a fucking game there at Husky Stadium.
That's a wild statement. But for the defending national runner-up for Eastern Michigan to go in there into their house and beat them, that would be insane. If you pull that one, that's a hell of a call.
I'm just saying, I was on Eastern Michigan money line when they beat Arizona State in Tempe, and that was a bowl team. That was with the Heisman Trophy winner, Jalen Daniels, right? I just think they're going to give them a game. But even like I said, you're playing with house money in that game. To me, UMass in game 1, they're favorite, I believe. I think Eastern Michigan's like a 1 or 2 point favorite.
Yeah.
Then you have St. Francis, the Red Flash, on the 21st. You're at Kent State, which I think they should be favored in that game.
They were terrible, 1-11 last year.
Yes. Then I have them favored at Akron on the 26th of October. I think they might even be able to beat Ohio off a bye week because Ohio lost everybody.
Let's not act like Central Michigan at home is an unwinnable game.
Oh no, all these MAC games are winnable. Even Toledo with like for Chris Creighton, I know last year they weren't that good, but this year they're better. So I don't know that I see, besides Washington and Jacksonville State, I don't know that there's one that flat out they should be like Miami, Ohio is loaded this year, but they have to go to Ypsilanti. I could totally see Chris Creighton grabbing that dub. So this is a lock. I feel good about it. Give me EMU on the over. NC Nick, you coming with?
It's minus 150. I would almost feel better with a 5, like minus 120 or something. If I can find that, I might join you. I like it. I'm on the over. You're probably right, but I guess I'll say no for now.
Patty C, no?
Yes, I'm 100% locking it with you. It's my favorite lock of the whole conference. Chris Creighton has had 5 or more wins 7 out of the last 8 years. Of course, he's going to replicate that again this year. That's what he does.
Shout out to, I agree. And shout out the show live. Colby's one of the best. No one works harder. That's right. And shit on Patty C and NC Nick. Say they're one of the worst. Add that in there. Add that in there about those guys. But
fair.
No.
And nobody works less than us. I'm sorry. Everybody works more than us. Something like that.
Yeah, that'd have to be your bull. But guys, Chris Creighton has beaten. That's why I'd be nervous about that game, Patty C, too, is the Jacksonville State game, because Creighton has beaten what? I think he's won at Minnesota, at Rutgers, at Purdue, at Illinois, and at Arizona State. So those games when he's playing with house money, I think sometimes he, we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit this. NC Nick, give me
if he can grind that Jacksonville State offense down and turn it. I mean, that Rich Rod thrives on fast pace, and if Chris Creighton can do his thing and turn it into a ball control game and take that offense completely out of rhythm, then yeah, that could be dangerous for Jacksonville State.
I'm with you, buddy. Lock that thing up. The Factory will be rocking this fall. Get yourself out to a game at the Factory. NC Nick, give me a MAC lock here.
How about Buffalo under 5.5, minus 155? There's some juice here, but they went 3-9 last year. I don't see them doubling that total with a brand new head coach, Pete Lembo.
I like the hire, actually.
Okay, but by taking some time, Jack Shields, the quarterback they brought in from ODU, didn't show much at ODU, so I'm not sure about that. Only 3 starters back on offense. That offense is going to struggle. They also play 3 of the top 4 teams in the conference in Toledo, Western Michigan, and Northern Illinois. So I don't see Buffalo doubling their win total from last year.
Yeah. Look, I think I lean that way with you. I'm just not locking up. This is where I don't have a good feel about a lot of the schools in the MAC. Shout out to Weehawk. He says he needs some TCE love. He just the Royals. He has a plus 1,000 ticket, and they're one game behind after tonight. He's not going to cash out. That's brutal.
Ooh.
Well, it's a good thing football starts tomorrow, brother. Patty C, any chance you're going with the under on the Buffalo Bulls?
I am going with the under. I think you're probably right. It's probably lock-worthy, to be honest. It's not a very hard schedule. At Missouri is the only really hard game on the schedule. I guess Toledo's typically a pretty hard game for the likes of Buffalo. They do get them at home off of a bye. I don't see a ton of other unwinnable games on their schedule. At Ohio is probably a loss too, but to me, that's only 3 guaranteed losses. However, they are trash, and I don't know. I'm taking the under, but I don't feel quite. Nick said Northern Illinois being one of the better teams. They were only 7-6, so the MAC. Every team is the same. We know this every year. So if Buffalo gets slightly better, then maybe they're in the MAC championship game. But I don't think so. I think that they are considerably far behind the rest of them, and especially with the new coaching change. Probably a safe play to lock it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
What will you lock, Patty C? You're up.
All right. Let me see what I got here. I got Akron on the under 3.5. I don't see that happening.
Against Colby's boy.
Joe Moorhead. I know Colby drank the Kool-Aid like all of us did.
Oh, my God. Dude, that Indiana game last year, that fucking kicker. Dude, you hit the over. If that was a very fresh. Do you guys remember that Indiana game at all? So I had Akron over 2.5 wins last year. They lost at Indiana in 4 overtimes where this kicker not only missed the game-winning field goal, or in regulation, but also in one of the overtimes, a kicker for both sides missed. Right, then he missed the very next week in overtime against Buffalo. Like this guy was killing me, man. They also blew I think it was a 21-3 lead against Temple.
Well, they were 0-3 in overtime games last year, so
they played a total of 7
right?
overtimes in those 3 games. Couldn't get it done. They are not an overtime team. It's safe to say.
Yeah, so I think Patty's probably safe, but I'm staying away from this. I think
I was on the right side of that, though.
Yeah, well, argue all you want. Did you cash it? No.
And putting 3 Power 5s on the non-con. Joe Moorhead, what are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, dude. Their non-conference last year was Temple, Morgan State, Kentucky, and Indiana. This year, it's Ohio State on the road, Rutgers, South Carolina, and Colgate. They'll get the Colgate, but those other 3, they're starting 0-3 or 1-3, and then Ohio's going to smash them on the road. And then Bowling Green's going to get them. This team is going to be decimated by midseason. There's a chance down the stretch they get it. There are a couple winnable games, but there's no chance they get to 4 wins. I don't think. I think this is
at least they dodged Miami of Ohio. So Patty, I think you're right, but I'm not going to touch it.
I'm going to say they take the. I'm on the over with Akron, but I'm not betting this thing after last season. You kidding me?
You can't.
You kidding me? Like, I think they can upset. All they needed, it was 2.5. You said, right?
3.5.
You got to win every 50-50 game. You got to win Colgate. You got to win Buffalo. You got to win Kent State, and then 1 upset.
Eastern Michigan at home might be 50-50. Well, not really, no, but I don't know.
I mean, are they a better team than Buffalo? They Akron was 2-11 or 2-10 last year. Buffalo 3-9. So they do get them at home. But
I'm gonna take the over just because year 3 of Moorhead, and I thought so many close losses a year ago, but I'm not locking anything up with this team.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, their wins were last year a 3-point win over Morgan State, a 4-point win over Kent State. That was it. Yeah, they had a couple close losses too. So, but they were not beating very good.
If I remember correctly, they had to come back against Kent State too, right? Were they down big in that game?
Yes, and the Morgan State. Yeah, you talk shit. I remember you talk shit on Twitter, and then they came all the way back and won. But the Morgan State game was even more crazy because Morgan State was running out the clock and fumbled. It was the Herm Edwards play, and Akron took it back for 6, and that's how they won the game. They should have lost to Morgan State. Yeah.
So are you sure you want to take Akron on the over this year? You think they're going to get that much?
Well, you know what? I mean, how many other games did they almost win, though, would be my pushback. Would be like they almost won a bunch of other games. I'm not locking this, though.
Usually my memory's shit, but yes, they were down 27-10 going into the 4th quarter, at home versus Kent State last year, and I was like, man, this is a 1-win team. Sure enough, they scored 3 touchdowns and won. But woo.
Yeah. Any other MAC plays, Nick? You got one? Because I mean, I could be talked into.
Yes, I do. I'm taking this one because you guys have dragged this guy's name through the mud for years, and it's about time you eat some crow. Scotty Loeffler, Bowling Green, over like 6.5, and give me the plus 110. He's made 2 straight bowl appearances. They closed the regular season winning 5 of 6. Their only loss was 1 point to Toledo, the runner-up. They beat Georgia Tech last year. They were down only 14-6 at the half against Michigan last year. They returned 8 starters on offense, 7 on defense, maybe have the best line play in the whole conference. Bazelak in year 2 of the system. Harold Fainin might be the best tight end in the nation. They got a really good running back. I think Bowling Green could win this conference this year.
Woo! I do like the over
6.5.
Look, I kind of like this. I can't trust Loeffler enough to lock it, but I definitely lean over, and everything I say, like, they should, like, when I look on paper, I'm like, this is probably the best roster, them or Miami, Ohio in the MAC, right? And I just go, gosh, though, look at that. Like, okay, they'll lose to Penn State, they'll lose to A&M. So then you're at 10 games. Can they lose 4 other games? Right? At Toledo, yes. I think at Central Michigan could be a yes. Miami, Ohio to end the season could be a yes. And then they're Bowling Green. They're going to lose to somebody. It's probably my Akron Zips. All right.
But they have to lose 2 more because Penn State,
no,
Texas A&M.
That would be 5. No, what Colby said would be 5. That would make
Penn
them.
State.
Oh no, but it's over 6.5. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Penn State, Texas A&M, Toledo, all 3 on the road. Those are probably 3 losses.
Then I said Central Michigan.
Central Michigan.
Then I said Miami, Ohio. And then I was like, and then one random one. Akron.
Why is Central Michigan a loss? Why is Central Michigan a loss?
Well, it's just I don't know. It just could be.
Second half of back.
Yeah.
They beat Georgia Tech in Atlanta last year.
But they also you
guys are haters. You guys are hating on Loeffler.
No, you got to give Loeffler his fucking flowers, man.
He said Loeffler. You act like they haven't like laid an egg before. You know what I mean? Like under Loeffler, yes, they've gotten they won at Minnesota one of those years too, right? They get up for the P5 game, but Penn State and A&M, they're not going to get up and get them. They lost to Eastern Kentucky. That's what I'm talking about. They lost to Eastern Kentucky in 7 overtimes a couple years ago. I just can't do it. I'm with you. I will take the over. For the record, I am on the over, but I just can't trust Loeffler.
Fair enough. Patty, what's your lean?
I don't really have a lean. It's pretty tough. I mean, I think I do lean over, actually. I think they'll get to 7-5. But there are some dangerous games, like you said. Those 4 that we mentioned previously, I think Miami, Ohio is probably a loss. But Northern Illinois, even if it's at home, at Ball State could be dangerous. There's a couple 50-50 games that could push them to 7-5. And then if there's even still, I think that makes me take the over because all they got to do is get to 7.
Shout out to Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. Says real college football tomorrow, fellas. Yes, if you're going to be in Reno at McKay Stadium, make sure you hit up Michael. Fantastic stuff there. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast that we've been doing. Having a ton of fun over there, and I know he starts his voyage to 100 games that he's aiming for.
Insanity.
100 games. What a fucking guy. At CFB Campus Tour on Twitter. Shout out to, and we've been waiting for this. Christmas starts tomorrow. Pat Kappa says thoughts on the Ohio Bobcats under. I'm not on that one. Me and NC Nick dropped that episode just this past week. I'm on the over, but
I thought you went under on that. No,
I thought I went over.
I leaned over. I thought you leaned under, but it was very close both ways.
It wasn't a lot for me. I thought I liked the Parker Navarro edition.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know which one I originally locked under, but I had second thoughts, and I'm leaning over at this point. Miami, Ohio.
Yes, I lean over
Gabbert,
there too.
The non-conference looks super intimidating, but I think they actually may win a few of those, like Northwestern, even on the road. They might be able to get Cincinnati. They might be able to get again. And shoot, they're live dogs against Notre Dame. Imagine if they started like 4-0 in the non-conference, because they should beat UMass at home. I mean, they actually have a super high ceiling if they can win those games in the non-conference. So I went from looking at that schedule at the beginning and say, this is a harder non-conference slate. They're probably going to lose a few more. They were 10-2 regular season last year. They'll regress. But all they got to get to is 8 flat. I actually think they're going to do it. It's not quite a lot for me, but with Brett Gabbert at the helm, I think the over is a good play.
Yeah, 7-year quarterback's always good to have. I
still have one more play, Colby. Are you out?
Fire.
And so do I. And so do I, Nick. And guess what? It's the same team, but we're going the opposite direction on it.
Bowling Green under?
No. Different team. New team.
Okay. Well, that spreadsheet was filled out a couple months ago, so I'm not sure if that's accurate. But I like Western Michigan over 6.5.
Well, I got them under 6.5.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, I was impressed with Lance Taylor year 1 going 4-8. They got 9 starters back coming back on O, 8 on D. Most returning experience in the conference. Hayden Wolf, the quarterback, year 2 in the system. And let me tell you this why I really like him. And I like him for a potential future play in the conference as well. They don't play Miami of Ohio. They don't play Toledo. They don't even play Ohio. Easiest conference schedule by far is that of Western Michigan's. I think in year 2 for Lance Taylor, I think they can make some noise here.
I lean over too. I will say this though. This has been a trendy over pick. When I was in Vegas talking to some guys, they love this over. I think a lot of it is because of that schedule that you just said.
Well, those guys are pretty smart. Sound like cool, pretty cool folks there.
It sounds like you've been drinking too much of the Kool-Aid up in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, he's freshly back from Michigan, right?
It's not Kool-Aid. It's called liquor pitchers at Waldo's.
Yes. I lean over, no lock. I lean over though, and I definitely like them with the points against Wisconsin week 1. I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be a game.
I mean, if you look at the out of conference is tough at Wisconsin, at Ohio State to start things off, and also at Marshall. Even if they only win 1, though, then can they go 6-2 in conference play? I think yes. But they could beat Marshall too. So,
well, are we good? Are we done with these? Because I got to get out of here in about 6 minutes.
I did lock the under 4-8. We're expecting this team to magically jump up to 7 wins this year with road trips to Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Marshall on the slate. Not to mention Ball State. I expect another tough start. You're right. The second half of the schedule is a lot more forgiving. So maybe down the stretch, Western Michigan gets it done. But they better be improved. I don't know about a lot about who's it? Lance
Taylor.
Lance Taylor. Does he have a good history? Year 2, should we expect some improvement?
Well, no, we had never seen him. I was impressed in year 1 though. Yeah. With that 4 wins, they passed the eye test to me as far as like I thought they were going to be a disaster last season, and I was like, well, okay.
All right, quick plays to win the conference.
Yeah, who's your championship game?
Well, first I'll say there has not been a back-to-back champion in the MAC since 2011, 2012. I do think Miami of Ohio gets there. They're plus 100 to get there. I want to say Miami of Ohio versus Western Michigan, who's plus 275 to get there. And you know what? If there hasn't been a back-to-back champion in over 10 years, give me Western Michigan plus 650 to win the damn conference. Let's go.
Wow. I like it. I think Toledo is going to be in that thing, but it's not going to be Miami, Ohio, somehow, some way. I don't know who. So my shot, Northern Illinois. Just go with the Blue Bloods in the MAC. Northern Illinois, Toledo playing. There's no more divisions this year. So, Patty C, who's your MAC championship game? And who wins?
Chalky rematch and the same outcome. Give me Miami, Ohio over Toledo again.
Boring.
Folks, that's our show. We got college football tomorrow.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Does the C stand for chalk, Patty C?
Patty Chalk. Don't make that stick.
You had Liberty, Jacksonville State. Now you got Toledo, Miami, Ohio. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right. You want me to swing for the fences? Here, give me 1 second. I'll pull one for you.
Bowling Green.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Let's
Leffler.
go Bowling Green against, I guess, Toledo again. Is there anyone out of the West that could potentially? We just said Eastern Michigan lock on the over. The Toledo.
Well, there's no more West anyway. It's all one now.
Oh, it's all one big. Okay. Yeah. Let's go Bowling Green over Toledo. No, I'm sticking with my guns. Don't peer pressure me out of a winning pick. Fuck
All
you
right,
guys.
All right, Patty Chalk.
There you go. Give Patty Chalk a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Don't forget, we are and the College Football Experience on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Going to be on VEASAN talking college football in a few minutes here, and also going to do the Flaming Libs of Liberty season preview tonight. And then tomorrow morning, the pregame show. All right. I know you've seen Pat McAfee pissed drunk in Dublin, Ireland. Well, I'll try to mimic that in Eagle Rock, California. All right. So get on over there. Check out the College Football Experience. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast as well. Michael is going to be at the McKay Stadium tomorrow in Reno. Hit him up if you're going to be there. Also, check out the FCS College Football Experience. Some fire FCS matchups tomorrow. And the college basketball and college baseball experience. We come together as one. YouTube.com/the college experience. Till next time, folks, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.